on everybody's to-do list.
There are things on this list that I haven't even done, Brandy. This is awesome.
Has the funniest cast of the summer.
I'm smart, sophisticated. Once I add sexually experienced to the package, he'll totally want me. Loser!
The to-do list.
Give her a chance to catch her breath. Are you okay?
I am now.
Rated R, July 26th.
Well, that marketing campaign certainly didn't help its aspirations, because, yeah, this thing bombed hard at the box office, and you're going to see why in just a little bit here. This is the to-do list, and it's a film that is basically a movie where you have Aubrey Plaza, who's feeling pressure to become more sexually experienced before she goes to college, and she makes a list of the things she wants to accomplish before hitting campus in the fall. And anybody who's watched Parks and Recreation knows that Aubrey Plaza can be very funny by doing not a whole lot. She doesn't do obnoxious things to get laughs. She's just herself, calm, cool, collective, and whatever jokes she comes up with are very funny on that show. She could be good in other movies. We've seen it in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Funny People, Monsters University, and the fact that she stars in a comedy like this with a good premise to it, you would think this couldn't possibly go wrong. But then you have a movie that you realize that this was created by CBS Films. And if you know CBS Films, they are notoriously known for taking films that did not have the best scripts overall and were basically just scripts for either failed TV pilots or things that the studios didn't want. And this definitely feels like a mix between a failed TV pilot and a script that nobody wanted. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Good Lord. But, yeah, this is a movie that should be much funnier than it should be, and it just isn't there. You're making it as tame and unraunchy as you possibly can. I mean, this was a massive failure on every single level. I mean, you see the cast right there. Plaza, Johnny Simmons, Bill Hader, Alia Shawkat, Rachel Bilson, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Andy Samberg, Connie Britton, Clark Gregg, Donald Glover, Adam Paley, Jack McBrayer, all wasted. The main character is a friggin' pushover who shares no real chemistry with anybody on screen. And it's basically just wasting the talents of Aubrey Plaza in here. There was not one joke I laughed in this movie at all. The only joke I ever laughed at in this was actually in the trailer for this, where you have a scene where Bill Hader's character ends up having sex with Brandy's sister, played by Rachel Bilson. And their father, Clark Gregg, walks in on them. And that was the only moment in the movie that I actually thought was funny. But that was in the trailer for the movie. And again, if a trailer is showing you the best moments of a movie, you fucked up big time. And this movie definitely fucks up big time. Like, this is a mess of a movie, man. This is a terrible, terrible film. It's not funny. It's not clever. In a time when we've had some good underrated films coming out in the raunchy comedy genre, Kissing Jessica Stein, A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy, Wanderlust. This is a movie that really does feel like a film that should have been much better than it actually was, and it just was not. I mean, it's a bad thing made by a company that, like I said, this is clearly something that should have been a CBS pilot, to the point where you really have to look at the marketing that was coming out around this time. I'll never forget when Will Ferrell was giving a speech for an award he won at the MTV Movie Awards, and all of a sudden, Aubrey Plaza comes up, tries to steal the popcorn bucket, and not even do it convincingly. Like, if this was the MTV Movie Awards, she was basically doing this, like she's gonna take it and then not, and then she just kind of ditches away. And apparently, that was supposedly a part of a viral marketing plan for the to-do list. And if that's really the best you can do to try to sell this movie, then this whole thing was such a waste of time. This was a massive misfire on so many levels. It was a big disappointment, a waste of good, talented people. Just one of the worst movies I saw in 2013. It's a really, really awful film. Avoid this one like the plague. Go watch good stuff. Go watch the good stuff that was lost around this time. Kissing Jessica Stein, A Good Old-Fashioned Orgy, Wanderlust. There's the real good, underrated, raunchy comedies around this time. Not this pile of garbage.
Slack market and prostitution. You'll be working with a new partner.
Watch me, maybe you'll learn something. Surprise! How many porns have been made on this couch? It is crucial that we catch these guys. It's also crucial that you stop bringing stupid Lorette. Just move on.
DEA, drop it!
What the hell is that?
I'm an albino, so I look like a bad guy.
No, that's not. It's not what we were. The heat. Put it there. You just make it odd.
Radar.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. No intro this week because we only got 2 movies here. We're wrapping up June 2013 on June 28th with 2 not-so-spectacular movies, but I know what you're thinking. The Heat was a critically acclaimed comedy when it came out. It was a movie that was actually one of the biggest hits of the summer. How could someone like me not like it? I'm about to tell you. Sarah Ashburn, played by Sandra Bullock, is an FBI agent who's extremely ambitious and has her eye on a promotion, but she doesn't get along with her coworkers. She's sent to Boston to uncover the identity of an elusive drug lord named Mr. Lawson by tracking down his proxy, Rosas, and is told that she has a good shot at a promotion if she finds Lawson. When she arrives in Boston, she learns that Lawson has been eliminating his competition and taking over their operations. She learns that Rojas is in Boston PD custody, and goes to see him to ask him what he knows about Lawson, but is warned that the cop who arrested Rojas, Sandra Mullins, played by Melissa McCarthy, is very territorial, and she's not exactly sociable. When the two meet, they don't get along. When Mullins learns why Ashburn is in Boston, she decides to find Lawson herself. Ashburn is told by her boss to work with Mullins, but it won't be easy because Ashburn does things by the book, while Mullins does things her own way. Gee, haven't heard that done before, but this time we got two women doing it, because that's never happened before in a movie, ignoring that 1980s movie Feds with Ellen Barkin and Mary Gross. Yeah, that was a movie that happened that nobody saw, but yeah, this is supposed to be the first time this whole groundbreaking thing has ever happened, and yeah, let me just tell you right now, this is not a good movie. This is a really lazy film. But of the 3 Melissa McCarthy movies that I saw that year, Identity Thief, Hangover Part 3, this was the best one. But then again, that's not really saying a whole lot. I mean, seriously, the only memorable thing about the movie that I'll give it credit for is Sandra Bullock and Melissa McCarthy do work off each other very well. And it is fun to watch Sandra Bullock getting smacked around a little bit here, mostly because of how much torture most of her films are to watch. You watch stuff like All About Steve or 2 Weeks Notice, and try to tell me that that's a woman I want to be around. But like I said, I don't hate Sandra Bullock overall. She's made some good movies: the Speed films, Crash, The Blind Side, The Proposal, Miss Congeniality. But most of her films in general have been kind of bland overall. But other than that, though, there's only one thing that made me laugh about it, and that was the fact that Melissa McCarthy's fridge is literally filled with weapons and guns. When I saw that for the first time, I actually laughed out loud pretty hard at that. I mean, that was actually really, really funny. A really funny, clever gag that they did with that. But other than that, though, there's nothing about this movie that's that clever or funny. We've seen this stuff before done so many times in the past already in other buddy cop movies. In fact, and like I said, the whole idea of 2 female cops working together is not a new thing, because that happened, would have been 15 years ago, I think? 25 years ago, because 88, 2013, I think, because Feds came out in 88, if I remember correctly, but yeah. This is a movie this is a tired formula that's been done before. There really isn't anything new about it that makes it anything unique or stand out in a way, shape, or form. But to its credit, I guess it's finally good to see Melissa McCarthy starring in a movie that doesn't consistently make her being obese the joke of the entire movie. I mean, Identity Thief and Hangover Part 3 were terrible at that. But at least with this one, there was at least I'll give it this. There was at least a conceited effort to try. I just don't think it really worked out in the end. I thought the comedy overall wasn't that great. The villain isn't seen until the very end of the movie. The motivations for his plans make no sense whatsoever. The characters are bland and forgettable. And it wastes a really good cast they have in here. You see Marlon Wayans in there. Michael Rappaport is in there. Caitlin Olsen from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is in here. There's a whole running gag in general here where the idea of it is very funny, having McCarthy's family literally hate her because she arrested her brother, and it's just like they hate the fact that she's a cop and all that. But I'll explain why that's not a good thing either. The biggest problems with the movie I had is that it's one of those movies that's trying way too hard to be raunchy for the sake of being raunchy by throwing in way too many F-bombs, and Sandra Bullock finally snapping, and the way she just uses the F word in this is just so terrible. Like to say the words fuck and shit really are not that hard to do, but Sandra Bullock literally makes it seem like it's the most it's never even been once heard out of her mouth before this point. It's just kind of like the way she said it is so cringeworthy. It's just like, just say it. It's not that hard to say. Fuck, shit, there. I made your job easier. Now let's tackle something every year like world hunger. But I digress. Let's go back to what I said before about McCarthy's family being like she doesn't like her family doesn't like her because she arrested her brother and because she's a cop and all that. Now, that could be funny, but they take it way too mean-spiritedly for no reason whatsoever. I mean, the family is so harsh on her because she arrested her brother. And yeah, I get it. I get it. You don't want to do that because that's your family. You don't want to arrest somebody like that. But you know what? The law is the law, and you have to do that. Like, I know the family's being portrayed as not being too bright, but they have no excuse to be that pissed off at her because she was doing her job. It's called being honest to your job. And you know what? In a world where we have so many crooked cops taking over, yeah, the fact that she did that, I give her a lot of credit for that. Like, that's a really hard thing to do. And yeah, there's a good like I said, a good cast involved in here. I didn't even mention Demian Bichir. I didn't mention Michael McDonald, Jane Curtin, Tom Wilson. I mean, they're good people, but they're just given stereotype roles to work with here. And like I said, the villain's big reveal is so fucking stupid. It's extremely predictable and stupid at the same time. Predictable because you can easily tell who the real bad guy is because they make it seem like oh, we're being smart by making it seem like it's this guy when we know it's this other guy here. You're not being smart about this, and incredibly stupid because his revenge on the heroes is so ridiculous, and I hate this, and I'm sorry to say this for you people out there who hate this word, but it's fucking retarded, especially when you see how easy it was to defeat him. Like, this movie tried to be something completely different and new, but it just ends up pulling the same crap we've seen done before, except with Bullock and McCarthy in it. And like I said, they're the two strongest parts of the movie, but other than that, though, I really don't get why people like this movie at all. This is a terrible film. It's forgettable. It's boring. I've never had the urge to watch it again. And quite frankly, I don't want to watch it again because I just don't think it'll be as funny as people make it out to be. Plus, I know Paul Feig's done a lot of other better movies. Some that actually people hate. But, yeah, I'm sorry. Ghostbusters 2016 was not terrible. Sorry. And I just lost a bunch of my audience on that one. So, sorry. Like I said, okay. I've kind of lost how I wanted to end this, so bottom line, the heat, I didn't like it. Everybody else did, not me, so.
911, where's your emergency? Officers are going to be there any second. He's going back downstairs. Leah? Whoever this is, I suggest you leave that house before you do anything you're going to regret.
It's already done.
This marks the 6th girl murdered. Investigators believe they are dealing with a serial killer.
I'll be here when you need me. You know that, right?
I'm on my way home now. Love you too. Bye. Oh my God. Oh no! 911, where's your emergency? I'm in the trunk. I've been kidnapped. There's no location. It's a disposable, no chip. Please help me. I don't know what to do. Okay, listen. For us to help you, I need you to help me. We're gonna fight. Can you tell if you're on a freeway or surface street? Freeway. Okay, keep the taillights out. I did it. Good work. Now, I want to see if any other car is going to be able to notice you. Now find a release lever. Please, I've been kidnapped.
Open the door now!
Listen to me. Do not hurt that little girl. You don't have to do this.
It's already done.
Can somebody please seriously check if Halle Berry shit on herself? Because every single shot of her in this movie, when she's supposed to be shocked and all that, it literally looks like somebody who just pooped themselves. Even the poster literally looks like that. That should give you an indication of the train wreck of a movie that we're in for here, because, yeah, this one's pretty bad. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films that make up March 15th, 2013. Our first movie is, of course, The Call, in which Halle Berry plays a 911 operator still suffering emotionally from a prior failed botched 911 call that got a woman killed, and receives a call from another teenage girl played by Abigail Breslin. You also have characters played by Morris Chestnut and Michael Imperioli, and this is directed by Brad Anderson. Brad Anderson directed he did The Machinist with Christian Bale in it. He did Trans-Siberian. But, yeah, this is the same guy that directed Christian Bale and The Machinist, and this is a WWE movie, too, because Dead Man Down was a WWE movie, too, and, you know, at least that one made sense because there was somebody from the WWE in that film. This one, yeah, there's nobody here from the WWE, so why is it a WWE movie? Fuck if I know, but, hey, it's the most successful film they've ever produced. It made the most money. That still doesn't mean much because this movie fucking sucks. Yeah, this is one of those movies that became an unexpected hit that I, for the life of me, can't imagine, can't figure out why that is, because this movie fucking sucks, man. From the first trailer alone, that gives you every single detail about what's going to happen. This movie not only does that, but it comes up with some of the stupidest plot choices I've ever seen in the movie. I mean, the scene with Abigail Breslin, you know, pushing the taillight out and moving her hand around. It's just like, do you think anybody is really going to see that while they're trying to watch the fucking road? I paused myself when I was just trying to say, I don't think so. But not only that, to continuously do stupid mistakes in this. The girl, Abigail Breslin plays a real idiot in this movie. She's making it much harder to free yourself than the movie is making it look. It's just like, when you're at the gas station, just get out of the fucking car and just walk away. It's just like, you know, it's like that, who was the girl that got kidnapped in, 2004? Was it Elizabeth Holmes, was it? No, Elizabeth Holmes is a whole other different criminal altogether, but I'm talking about Elizabeth Smart. Elizabeth Smart, you know, she was the one that got kidnapped, and I always remember the Dave Chappelle bit where, you know, Dave Chappelle's doing the bit about Elizabeth Smart, and, you know, the kidnappers leave her alone in the room, and, you know, Elizabeth, and Dave Chappelle's just like, he's pretending like he's Elizabeth Smart, just like, how am I gonna get out of here? Think, Elizabeth, think. Think, Elizabeth, how am I gonna get out of here? And Dave Chappelle's just like, why don't you just open the fucking door and just walk out of there? Have you thought about that? You're 15, bitch, run. Stop thinking and start making moves. Like, that's what this woman should be doing in this movie. But no, we can't do that because we need a movie here. Because clearly, the demand is there for this movie with this villain who, I swear to God, this is one of the most cartoonishly bad villains I have ever seen in my entire life. Even the dude's real-life picture looks like he's a cartoon character. I mean, just look at this guy right here. Look at him. Like, am I supposed to really take this seriously? And his whole thing is that he plays characters who are the villain or the anti-hero, and he's described as creepy. Okay, and give me a motivation here. Give me a reason why I should be afraid of this guy, except for the look of this guy. Just like, there's no tension in this fucking movie at all. This is probably the worst thing Halle Berry's been associated with since Catwoman, and that's saying a lot. But man, because Catwoman is terrible, this one's right up there, man. Like, this movie is like, I know the perfect way to describe this movie. Imagine the show 911. Except without over-the-top campiness and stupid situations that are supposed to be funny. There's nothing funny about this movie. They expect you to take this shit seriously. And $63 million went into this movie's pocket for... $68 million went into this movie's pocket for no reason whatsoever, except that it's got Halle Berry in it. Well, you know what? You can watch Halle Berry in much better movies than this pile of garbage. That's what you should be doing. This is one of the worst movies I saw in 2013, and it's still terrible even after all these years. It had one of those Netflix resurgences where everybody was looking at it going like, yeah, it's actually a really good movie, and no. It never was a good movie. It wasn't a good movie back in 2013. It wasn't a good movie in 2022, and I damn well guarantee you it was not a good movie in 2025, and it will not be a good movie in the future overall. This movie is fucking terrible. Plain and simple.
Who's that?
The largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg?
Okay. Let's start off with that. Kim Kardashian and her acting in this. Here's the thing with Kim Kardashian. She's not the best actress in the world, but you know what? She's still a lot better than Paris Hilton is. But then again, that really isn't saying a whole lot. It's basically me saying, you know, which piece of dog shit is much better for you to clean up? The hardened turd or the liquidy stuff? You know, there's really no real winner in this, but if I had to choose, I would go with the hardened turd because at least I can grab that with a paper towel, with a toilet paper and throw it into the toilet. With the liquidy stuff, it's just like you really need to like wipe it up with the paper towel, with the toilet paper, and then wrap it up the thing, and it's just kind of like, you know, like it's not a pleasant experience. And I know this whole thing isn't going to be me talking about dog poop, is what kind of dog poop you want to pick up, but hey, I mean, there might be a video out there in the future for that. Who knows? I mean, the internet, YouTube can be crazy out there, but the point I'm trying to get across here is that yeah, Kim Kardashian isn't the best actress in the world, but I'll give her this. There has been at least a couple of things where I've seen her in where she actually is pretty okay. Mostly the American Horror Story season she was in with Emma Roberts, American Horror Story Delicate, which got me a little bit excited for the show that just premiered this past month with All's Fair, which is not a good show in general. And it's not really just because of her. The whole show is written pretty badly. The dialogue is pretty lazy. It's the problem with Ryan Murphy as a whole, as a writer as a whole. Like, you never know what type of thing you're going to get from him that's going to be good or bad. And sometimes he can write some good stuff, but he can write a lot of bad stuff too. And All's Fair really is a bad show. Kind of on the equivalent of a so bad it's good type of show, but yeah, it's one of those shows that's an early contender for the worst of 2025. Not even an early contender, contender possibly for the worst TV show of 2025. But yeah, my point is, is you can definitely get a sense of the dialogue and how bad it's written here when the line of the largest social media investor since Zuckerberg comes out. It's just kind of like, can you say that line without any more? It's like, can you say that line without it, with a little bit more emotion to it? I mean, seriously, but she's the least of this film's problems overall. I mean, the trailer alone pretty much tells you everything that is wrong with this movie as a whole. But let's run down the plot of this movie, and it's a plot that is kind of ridiculous when you really look at it. So Roger Jackson strives to support his family, a group that includes not only his Ivy League-educated wife, played by Journey Smollett-Bell, but her ganja-smoking father, Stanley, and her Bible-thumping mother, Titi. Meanwhile, Judith doles out thoughtful advice to couples every day, yet remains completely powerless when it comes to addressing the issues surrounding her own troubled marriage. When an old college friend drops by her office, Judith faces her biggest personal challenge in life, and it turns out he's the largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg. I mean, I'm sorry, that line will be forever etched in my memory banks as one of the most stupidest things ever. First off, it's a story we've seen done before. Tyler Perry himself has done this with The Family That Prays. It is literally the same premise, where the married businesswoman cheats on her husband and life takes a turn for the worse for her. And it's even worse than this movie, as we'll get along here. But problem number 2 is Kim Kardashian overacting her ass off. I mean, watch her in this movie, and you can tell that she's not even trying to act at all. Not at all in this movie, and it's just, you know, the preview also shows Journey Smollett's husband, who she's been friends with for almost 20 years, is supposed to not care much for her. What's the biggest thing they do to prove that? Have the guy go watch a football game with her standing behind her looking like she's mad. It's just like, is this really supposed to be the tipping point for her character to cheat on it? And because he watches a football game, I mean, really? That's the thing that's going to push you over to the edge? And right off the bat, meeting the largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg, he is immediately smitten with Smollett. Not even 2 seconds into his dialogue. 2 seconds! And you can already tell that he wants to ruin her marriage so much and bang her. There's also a scene where Smollett's character gets hit by a bike, and since the other guy in life doesn't have a name in the trailer, I'm just calling him what they call him in the trailer. The largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg aids her. First off, the way they shoot this is that it makes it look like the most tragic part of the movie. The sepia tone style shooting of it makes it look like it's more tragic than it possibly is. Getting hit by a bicycle is not on the same level as getting hit by a goddamn truck or car. If you get hit by a bike that badly, you obviously weren't paying attention and need to get off your phone right now. In fact, you know what? Here, I'll do it. Get off your phone and watch the road. I don't even know if you're doing that right now, but you get the point. Like, the dialogue in here is just awful. It's just like, the whole movie is just so stupid. And even the part where she gets hit by the bike, and the other guy's just like, if I had a woman like you, I would never miss a thing. It's just like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, this is the lamest pickup line I have ever heard in my life. Like, how schmaltzy do you have to be? It's just like, you see later on in the trailer that an older woman pops up and then tells Smollett's character lazy lines like, that boy's gonna hurt you so bad. It's just like, there were a lot of stupid lines I heard in that trailer, but the wording of that is just one of the dumbest things ever. You could have just said, that boy is gonna hurt you. But no. We have to make it much deeper. We have to make it much more intriguing to make people think that it's gonna be anything different than any other thing that you've seen from him. But no, wait till you see the twist in the movie. In fact, I'm going to spoil it for you because this is fucking hilarious. Because it turns out that Julie Smollett-Bell's character is HIV positive because she gets it from her ex, and the ex being the smartest, the largest social media inventor since Zuckerberg. That's the twist in the movie. This is one of the stupidest fucking movies I've ever seen in my entire life. This is Tyler Perry at a new low. Like, this thing is one of the dumbest movies I have ever seen in my entire life. The whole movie is just nothing but let's create twists and turns for the sake of having a story going forward. Even for Tyler Perry, who is a smart-ass businessman. I mean, the guy makes movies that make $20 million instantly because he knows his audience, and his audience knows what he does. But even this film was a success as well. He knows exactly how to bring his audiences into this. But even this was just like even the people that saw this movie looked at it and go like, yeah, we liked it when we came in, but we're here to tell you that this is one of the stupidest things ever. Like, this is a dumb movie. This is absolutely pathetic. It's not a good movie by any stretch of the imagination. It wastes some good talent in here with Jurnee Smollett, and Vanessa Williams can be a good actress overall. Hell, Lance Gross is pretty good. Brandy Norwood is a good actress. Like, these are good people in here, but they're not given anything to do. They're just there to read a script that is badly put together by Tyler Perry, and just do it. And he probably just tells them, look, just do it because because this thing's going to make a shit ton of money and you're going to get paid regardless. But this movie sucks. This is one of the worst movies I've seen this year, and it really, from the first trailer alone, it just took me out of it right away, just for the way that some of the line readings were. This is a terrible movie, an absolute dog shit film, plain and simple.
I defy you to crush this course and not get psyched out of your mind.
I'm gonna hunt some cats. Only got $20 in my pocket.
The Chrono Shock 13.
They didn't tell you, did they? Your company is closed.
You closed the company?
Everything's computerized now.
People have a deep mistrust of machines. Have you seen Terminator?
Yep.
Or 2? Or 3? Or 4?
All of us.
Nick, I got it. Google.
You got us a job at Google?
Not a job. It's an interview for an internship that could lead to a job. Nick, this might be the last chance that we got. Come in here. You got to come in closer. You won't be able to see us. See how small the webcam is? No, kitchen to cheek.
We can see you guys.
Okay, great.
You got us?
Hi, my name is Billy.
We can hear you fine as well.
Oh, great.
That is literally the entire movie. Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn are too old, and they don't realize that you need to use computers in 2013 because we're too lazy. We're too old to figure that out. Haha, laugh at that. It's funny. No, it's not. It is not funny at all, and it just keeps going on and on and on throughout the course of the entire movie. This is one of the stupidest movies I have ever seen in my entire life, and you can see why it is one of the worst movies of the year, easily. So you have Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson starring as recently laid-off salesmen who attempt to compete with much younger and more technically skilled applicants for a job at Google. No, I'm sorry, not a job at Google, an internship at Google. You know, like I said, the biggest problem with this movie is that Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn are in their 40s. They're way too old to be doing a movie like this. And it doesn't help that the comedy is just fucking awful. All the comedy is that all people over the age of 40 don't know how to use computers. And, you know, that's the whole crux of this movie. And this is just a terrible, terrible movie. This is a terrible comedy. It's everything that's wrong with comedies in this movie. The jokes are terrible because they're predictable and unfunny. It's that lame comedy they use in a lot of commercials, you know, the lazy humor that actually thinks it's being clever and all that when it's really not. I'm sorry, Geico commercials are not that funny, except for when the lizard is on the screen. But other than that, Geico commercials are not that funny. Neither is the Progressive commercials outside of Flow. Like, we get stupid cliches that need to stop being in this movie, and they keep showing up in a film like this. There's nothing about this movie that's worthwhile or funny whatsoever. This is a lousy, lousy movie that is just so... It feels like it was written by people who have no idea what is... It feels like people that are over the age of 40 that have no idea what young people are like, because that's what it really feels like. Again, it feels like comedy written for a bad commercial, and it's not that this is made by hacks either. The co-writer of this is Jared Stern, who 1 year later will write the Lego Movie, one of the best movies of the decade. It's directed by Sean Levy. Sean Levy is somebody who I consider to be one of those comfort food directors, like a guy like a Peter Siegel or an Adam Shakeman. He'll make movies that may not be great most of the time, but they're fun, entertaining movies. I mean, if I had to pick the worst thing this guy's ever done, this is probably it right here. I mean, this is a guy that made movies that are not great, but still better, but still fun films overall, like Big Fat Liar, Just Married, Cheaper by the Dozen, the Steve Martin Pink Panther movie, the Night at the Museum films, Date Night, Real Steel, films we've touched on the show. We're gonna get to some other good ones too, like This Is Where I Leave You, Free Guy, The Atom Project, Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, Sean Levy does not make a lot of bad movies. This is the worst thing he's ever directed, and it's clear that even a guy like him can't save this movie in general here. And Vince Vaughn had a hand in the writing of the script of this. Yeah. Again, kind of like what happened with Couples Retreat, which was also not a good movie, but at least Couples Retreat was trying to be funny. At least there was an effort being put in there. This really does feel like a movie where Vince Vaughn's old age started to come out on him. It's just like, you do not feel like Vince Vaughn put his best work into this movie in general. Here, this is the Vince Vaughn of The Watch a year ago, and it's just, which coincidentally, all three of these guys worked on, and that was not a great movie either overall either, but at least, again, that one was at least trying to be funny. It at least had some effort and a creative idea behind it. The creative idea behind this is that old people don't know how to use computers and all that. We don't know how to work at Google. Like, you cannot tell me that there are people that are over the age of 40 that work at Google. Anyone out there from Google who's watching this right now, you know anybody that works there is over the age of 40 and is capable of actually working on a computer? Yeah. I don't even need to talk to these people to know that that's the case, is that people over 40 know how to use computers and know how to use Google. It's just like, this whole movie makes no fucking sense at all. This is one of the worst comedies I have ever seen in my life. It's lazy, it's not funny, it exists for one joke that isn't even funny to begin with. This is a definition of a terrible, terrible comedy. One of the worst comedies I've ever seen in my entire life. One of the worst movies of the decade. Easily one of the worst movies of the year. I think you get the point. The Internship fucking sucks.
Figure, 40 million. I hate to tell you this, but I got bad news for you.
You're DEA?
I'm Special Forces. We gotta figure out who set us up.
Well, like we're working together? Yeah.
No, like we're in the same area code.
Together.
Where's my money? It ain't down there, I can guarantee you that. Give me the keys. You want them?
Come get it. What was uncalled for?
2 guns. Make it rain.
Rated R. In theaters August 2nd.
Okay, in any other reality, this would be pretty badass. Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg starring in an action comedy together. Yeah, you would think that that'd be the case here, right? Nope. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We're starting a brand new month off by taking a look at 2 movies released on August 2nd of 2013. And both of them have 2 in the title. One is a sequel, one is a movie that has the number 2 in it. So this is essentially the episode of 2s, if you will. And our first movie that we have here, the biggest of the 2 new releases, is Two Guns, in which we have a DEA agent played by Denzel Washington and a naval intelligence officer played by Mark Wahlberg finding themselves on the run after a botched attempt to infiltrate a drug cartel. While fleeing, they learn the secrets of their shaky alliance, neither knowing that the other was an undercover agent. And again, I went into this because of the pairing of Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, because I knew the possibilities were there for greatness, and thankfully, they are the best things about the movie. They really do work off each other very well. They keep you invested in the film overall. Here's the problem, though. They're the only 2 things about this movie that are good. Okay, seeing Paula Patton's boobs is pretty awesome, especially with, the fact that, she had just broken up with Robin Thicke at the time, which Robin Thicke, what the fuck were you thinking, man? Because, I would have jumped on that almost immediately, but besides those 2 things, and also Denzel Washington and Mark Wahlberg, I ruined that joke by saying the wrong name, but you get the idea. This is a terrible movie, and it's a movie that doesn't look terrible when you watch the trailers for it. I mean, it doesn't look that great, but it doesn't look that bad. But this is one of those things where you have to look inside the book and not just judge it by its cover, because once you open that book and you realize what you just read, you realize, oh yeah, this is a terrible movie. This is a movie that just doesn't work because it's lazy in terms of the story, it's lazy in the action, and pretty much just everything else. I mean, yeah, Washington and Wahlberg are great together, but like with The Heat, just because the 2 leads are working off each other, everything else is not going to work either. Because, yeah, everything else that's been done in this movie has been done to death so many times, and they try absolutely nothing new with it. It doesn't help that there are multiple bad guys in this, which, yeah, it's basically taking the Savages playbook where you have no idea who the fucking bad guy is supposed to be. I mean, you can't take any of them seriously at all. They're all Saturday morning cartoonishly evil in terms of how bad they are. Edward James Olmos is this Mexican drug overlord. You have James Marsden as this corrupt naval officer. Bill Paxton's a corrupt CIA agent. I mean, Bill Paxton is so awful in this movie because he's just out in the open, and you could just easily tell he's the bad guy from the first moment you see him on screen. Like, he does not give a fuck at all, and not in a good way. Like, at least with Olmos and Marsden, you kind of see the hidden evilisms in them all, but they don't really show it until later on. But Paxton's not even trying to hide in this movie. Like, Hicks from Aliens would look at Paxton's performances and go like, game over, man, game over. And it's like, the worst thing about this is that he died shortly after this movie came out, so this was one of the last things people saw him, man. But, hey, to his credit, he at least ended his career on a much better note with Edge of Tomorrow. I'll give him that, but there's also way too many stupid twists, and I hate movies with stupid twists and turns, and too many double crosses that serve no purpose to the story whatsoever. There's plot threads in this that make no goddamn sense at all. Like, why do Washington and Wahlberg blow up the diner a day before they rob the bank? What does that even do to them? Like, the whole thing with Paula Patton's character, like, who's she really working for? The DEA, the bad guys? The movie never gives you an answer for it, and quite frankly, they don't give a shit whatsoever. The biggest problem with this movie is that, just like The Bourne Legacy the year before, it's the most simplistic, predictable action movie that we have ever seen, and it's been done to death. If you have to rip off The Bourne Legacy of all things, The Bourne Legacy, you have failed as a movie in general. But then again, I wouldn't expect much from the same director that gave us Contraband, Balthazar Koramahu, who, yeah, talk about two bad films in a row, but hey, to his credit, he did eventually find his way back with Everest a couple years later, which turned out to actually be his best overall film, and we'll touch on that in 2015, but Two Guns is a movie I really went into with a lot of high expectations for, and it just failed to entertain on all levels. Washington and Wahlberg can't save the movie to save their lives. I mean, this is a movie that's uninspired, it's lazy, it takes the cheap way out, the story makes no sense, the villains are terrible, the twists are terrible. It's a terrible, terrible movie. Have I given you the point that it's terrible yet? I wanted so much better from this because of the people involved in it, and they just fail on every single level. Just a really bad movie overall, but hey, it's okay. This is just a blemish off of these two guys' work because their next two films would actually turn out to be really good films. Mark Wahlberg will get to redeem himself with Lone Survivor at the end of the year, and then Denzel Washington will redeem himself the next year with The Equalizer. So, all is right with the world, and I consider this to be one of the few mistakes that these two guys have made as stars in films. Because, yeah, it's really not their fault the movie is terrible. The movie just was bad all the way from the beginning to the end. So, yeah.
You're gonna spend the holidays with your grandparents.
We don't even know them.
I'm just thinking about what's best for you. This ain't living. I got a mouth to feed, but I can't make these ends meet.
I'll see you in church.
Tonight? You're tripping.
As for me, at my house, we are going to church.
You need something? Mom, when are you coming? Bring us together.
The Reverend's putting on his Christmas show. It would mean a lot to him for you to be there.
Today, we are mindful of the needs of this youth. Be he in need of guidance or simply a belt to hold his loose-fitting pants up. Amen.
Until the rainbow burns the stars out in the sky.
What went down with you guys and my mom? Why don't you talk?
The Reverend and I would do anything for you and your mother.
But you can bet your life times that and twice is double. That God knew exactly where He wanted you to be placed.
It's time to forgive, and it's time to come home.
So I know what you're thinking. That doesn't look too bad, honestly, and you're right. The trailers make it don't make it look as bad as it does. In fact, honestly, if anything, it makes it look like a duller version of that. Remember that Saturday Night Live sketch they did called the Proud Pattersons? Where it was one where Sinbad was the guest host on there. It was like all these black people overacting their asses off. I think it was actually presented by the Overacting Negro Theatrical Fund or something like that. It's a really funny sketch overall. Watching that trailer again, it really makes it feel like it literally feels like they took that and made that into a movie just by watching that trailer. But the trailer doesn't look that bad. But then it's one of those things where you really can't judge a book by its cover. You really have to open it up and realize, oh wow, this movie is absolutely terrible. So after his mother, played by Jennifer Hudson, is evicted from their Baltimore apartment, teenager Langston, played by Jacob Lattimore, is sent to spend the holidays with his estranged relatives, played by Forrest Whitaker and Angela Bassett, in New York City, where he embarks on a surprising and inspirational journey, and along with his new friends and a little divine intervention, he discovers the true meaning of faith, healing, and family. And this movie really did something to me that hadn't happened with a movie since The Love Guru 5 years ago. It made me change my opinions on it so many different ways. Like, when I saw The Love Guru for the first time coming out of that theater, I didn't hate it, but as time went on, as the day went on, like 24 hours went on, I really started to think about it, and then I realized, wow, this movie actually is much worse than I could have imagined. That's what happened with me with this movie. When I came out of it, I thought it was alright, but then as time went on, and I really thought about everything I saw again, I really came to the realization that, wow, this movie is a steaming pile of garbage. And I'll tell you right now, I never read the play that this is based on by Langston Hughes, and I actually went out to the Barnes & Noble that was outside the movie theater to see if I could find that story, and it was nowhere to be found. So I had no idea if that was a good representation of the play itself and all that, but I'll begin with the one lone thing about the movie, because there is one lone thing about the film I did enjoy, and that was the songs. I thought they were actually the best part of the movie. In a way, it kind of reminded me of Rock of Ages, like a really bad movie, but the covers by the stars are actually really good, and it was the one thing that carried that movie overall. The same thing happened here. The songs overall are really good, and I mean, other than that, though, that's about it. I did not like anything else about this movie. For one thing, as great as the soundtrack is, the songs in the movie being placed are so badly placed. There's good songs. They're good songs, but they're horribly placed in the worst possible spots. And not only that, there are scenes that start off singing in the most pointless areas. The most is when Jennifer Hudson is singing to her son at the bus station, and she's literally singing to him while everybody else is pretending that she's not going insane. All I can think to myself is everybody really okay with this woman just singing out of the blue? It's just like, I get this is a musical and all that, and you're not supposed to be thinking about it too much, but, you know, it's just like, she's literally standing there like a crazy person. Like, I'll put it this way. If you watch a video on YouTube of somebody acting crazy, that person would act as crazy as Jennifer Hudson does in that scene. And again, the actors in this are good, but they all look like they just don't give a crap and just decide to go over the top with it. Once again, go watch that SNL sketch and you know exactly what I'm talking about, because if you watch that and watch this movie, you will see exactly the comparisons I'm talking about here. Third, I really hate the main character, and you know, this kid, you know, you're supposed to feel sorry for this kid overall, and at the beginning you do feel sorry, because it really seemed like life was just ready to pound the shit out of him right away, because he gets booted from his home, he arrives in New York, his phone gets broken, his bag gets stolen, he gets put in jail even though he was trying to do the right thing. Like, it literally begins like the Stevie Wonder song, what was I can't remember what it was called, like, living in the City, I think it was, where he gets off the bus in New York City, and then the guy's just like, hey, you want to make a quick buck real quick, and then he gets involved in a drug bust, and he's just like, he's going to jail for a while or something like that. It's very similar to what happened here, but, like, the movie is trying to convince us that this kid is a smart kid, really put in a bad decision. But then he does something really stupid. He tries to pawn off a watch given to his grandfather by Martin Luther King in order to help his mother out of financial troubles. That's just the beginning of the stupidity of this, because He takes the watch to the pawn shop owner, who's actually played by the wife of the husband of Angela Bassett, Bobby Curtis Hall. It's a great scene because the owner talks down to this kid about what this kid is doing and just tells him to get out before he calls the cops. I love it because it perfectly sums up what's wrong with this character. He's supposed to be seen as a smart kid, but he does stupid stuff like that. Like, you know that everyone in this town knows everybody. So your stupid ass decides to take this watch, sell it to the pawn shop, and act like it's not going to be a big deal whatsoever. And I know you want to help your mother, but come on. There are better ways to do that. And it doesn't help that the rest of the cast in this movie is just completely wasted in this. I touched on it before with the overacting, but a movie that has Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, Angela Bassett, and Tyrese Gibson giving some of the most overused lines in the history of movie making, being wasted, and they have done much better than this. Even people like Mary J. Blige and Nas are wasted in this. And the movie up until we get to the church scene, it's everything we've seen done before, completely pointless, and I never read the play or the movie that this is based on, so I wouldn't be surprised if they threw this in there just to pad the movie out. Sort of like the live-action Grinch movie where you have that pointless half-hour second act with the jubilation that makes it longer than it needs to be. The nativity scenes where they're trying to make a mix between Bethlehem and modern-day New York have a potential to be something interesting and weird, but it just comes off as weird and awkward. It doesn't make any sense to the story overall, and there's a lot of subplots in this movie that don't get addressed at all. The biggest problem with the movie is that there is no conflict whatsoever. When it's revealed why the family is at what it is today, I really had to look at this and go like, are you fucking kidding me? It makes no sense whatsoever. We just spent an hour and a half trying to figure out what the hell is going on with this movie, why these characters act the way they are, and the most you can give us is, oh, the dad paid his daughter's husband $5,000 to leave her and her son. What was the point of all that? Like, what? It's like, it doesn't explain, they don't even explain why he did that. It makes no sense whatsoever. There's no conflict at all. All this shows is that every one of the lead actors in here are really stupid, and they took a simple, small problem and made it a much bigger deal than it has to be. And I cannot stand that in movies. You've just wasted an hour and a half of my time and everybody else's time on nothing. I hate when people take something so simple and don't use their brains, but instead go out and do these stupid things and make it a much bigger deal than it needs to be. The worst part about this whole thing is that this is directed by Cassie Lemons. Cassie Lemons is somebody who makes great movies. She made Eve's Bayou. She made Talk to Me. And even the good songs that are wasted in this movie just feel like this whole thing is just a complete waste of your time. It's one of the worst movies of the year. It has no reason to be in a theater. The only reason it's in a theater is because it's got a couple of Academy Award nominees and winners in here. If they were replaced by other people, this would have been a Lifetime or Hallmark Channel movie that could have been on the Christmas movie lineup. But no, because we've got all these big stars in here, put it on the big screen. There's no reason for this movie to be as bad as it is, but sadly it is. It is one of the worst movies I saw that year in 2013. This is an abysmal movie. One of the worst Christmas movies I've ever seen in my life. It's just a bad movie. It's a really, really bad film. So yeah, avoid it like the plague. Just, if you want a better movie that's much better than this, watch The Best Man Holiday. The Best Man Holiday is the much better movie here. This is a steaming pile of garbage. So there you go. That's my thoughts on Black Nativity.
That looks good. Can I pay with a card?
What the hell is this? It's the person who stole your identity. Every day I'm hustling.
Sandy Bigelow. Patterson.
She's like a hobbit. Going after Bilbo.
You don't chase criminals.
Gotcha. I can't let this woman out of my sight.
Challenge him physically.
We got us a live one.
Identity Thief, rated R.
Oh my god, bad memories, please get this fucking movie out of my sight. Oh yeah, it's one of those bad movies. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. We don't have an intro this week, mostly because I couldn't think of really a bit intro to do here, but we're looking at the 4 movies of February 8th, 2013, and let's just go ahead and just dig through this one, because my god, this movie is awful. Identity Thief, starring Jason Bateman and Melissa McCarthy. This is notable for Melissa McCarthy being her first real movie after her success with Bridesmaids a couple years ago. And this was supposed to be the launching of her post-Bridesmaids career as a leading comedic actress. And boy, that success, there was success, but my God, these movies that she starred in were terrible. And this is probably it's sad to say that this is probably the one that's the least bad, but it's still pretty bad. But it's the story of Sandy Peterson, a man whose identity is stolen by a female con artist. Sandy's played by Jason Bateman, and the con artist is played by McCarthy. After the police tell him that it will take up a year to solve the case, Sandy decides to go across country to find her, and clear his name. So it's one of these lame brain action comedies, and this is the literal definition of a lame brain comedy, because my God, this movie is fucking awful. This is very high up there with the worst movies I saw that year. I mean, this is that bad of a movie. And yet people bought into it. People were suckered in because it's directed by the same guy that did his Horrible Bosses, Seth Gordon. But it's also written by the guy who did the Hangover movies, which, I mean, the first one was good. Everything else, nope. Garbage. Straight up garbage, like this movie here. Everybody in this movie is a fucking idiot because they take the simplest situations and instead of just doing the right thing about them, just going on their way, they do something incredibly stupid. It's not just a one-time decision. It's like this all throughout the movie. This whole movie is it's a litmus test of how much your patience will be tested, because you want to not only smack Melissa McCarthy, you want to punch the shit out of Jason Bateman because he's the one that's provoking this whole thing. Just do what they're telling you to do and just wait. No, I can't do that because I gotta go and do this thing because we wouldn't have a movie if we did it. Just like, it's not funny. Nothing about this movie is funny. The jokes are terrible. They waste some good comedic talent all across the board here. And it has one of the biggest fuck you endings I've ever seen in my life. This is bordering on Bounty Hunter levels of bad in terms of the ending of this movie. That's how terrible this movie is. An absolute abysmal mess of a film. One of Melissa McCarthy's two big misfires of the year, because, yeah, the other one was much more successful for a lot of people, but that movie ain't any better. Sorry, but I think you know which one I'm talking about here. But if you're not, stay tuned to the end of the summer for that. But yeah, not much more to say about this one. Identity Thief is a steaming pile of garbage. It's not funny. It wastes all this good talent. And it's just a mess of a movie that idiots bought into it and went on to become a massive hit. Meanwhile,
My God, he's got the voice of an angel. It's breathtaking.
You ready to do this?
Yeah.
Wait, what are we doing?
Are you out of your mind? This is the worst place on earth. I know, right? So many good memories.
I bought a giraffe! Oh, my life is great!
Rated R. Starts May 24th.
it's not a good sign if the best stuff they're showing you is in the trailer. The giraffe scene is the best scene in the movie. Alan singing Ave Maria. That's good. Everything else, piece of shit. In the aftermath of the death of Alan's father, the Wolfpack, Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, Justin Bartha, decide to take Alan to get treated for his mental issues. But things start to go wrong on the way to the hospital when the Wolfpack is assaulted and Doug is kidnapped, and now they must kidnap Mr. Chow again in order to surrender him to the gangster who kidnapped Doug in order to save him. So, we're already ripping off the first movie again. I'm just not going to get right to the point of this. I hated this movie. I hated it when it came out. I tried to give it a chance years later. It has not changed. I fucking loathe this movie. This is one of the worst sequels, if not the worst sequel I have ever seen in my entire fucking life. It is that awful. This movie is so horrible. It completely takes everything you love about The Hangover and just throw it away and keeps the horrible things I hated about The Hangover and manages to make it an even worse movie-going experience. This is one of the most horrible movie-going experiences I ever had in my entire life. Where do you start? Well, yeah, don't let those trailers fool you. This isn't the lighthearted, goofy Hangover films like the last two films. No, they take this pointless, dark edge to this that had no reason to be there. There's no reason for a Hangover movie to be this dark. I mean, the first two movies had dark humor in them, but the scripts were smart enough to not let the dark humor take up the entire film. But here, they just go dark for no reason whatsoever. And I love a dark comedy. War of the Roses is one of the great dark comedies you'll ever see, but if you're gonna go all out on a dark comedy, let people know and don't gloss over it in the trailers and then just bring them in there for this incredibly bizarre tonal shift that happens. The story makes no sense at all. Why does Doug need to be kidnapped again? There's no reason why we have to turn to Black Doug. They turned Black Doug, Mike Epps from the first movie, into a bad guy. For no reason. There's no reason why the characters for the first movie have to return. There was no thought process when this movie was made. Part 2 at least was trying to be a movie that was at least worthy of existence. Even though it was a Here We Go Again sequel. Like, this movie... This is the movie that you look at and you realize they made this because Warner Brothers wanted a sequel. That's what they wanted. They wanted the money. They don't care if the trilogy, if the movie's actually good. We need that trilogy money. And I really believe there was no intention to make this a franchise and spawn 2 mid-range sequels. I mean, the second movie was a copy and paste version of the first film. That's enough to back the point right there. But to do a third movie that tries to make you forget about the previous films and what they established, this makes my theory more than just a theory. It's concrete evidence. They had no intentions on making this a franchise, and they should have just made it the first movie and be done with it. Think about it. Why didn't we not get any sequels to Wedding Crashers, 40-Year-Old Virgin, Old School, Knocked Up, Forgetting Sarah Marshall? Why are they so great? Because they never had sequels. Yeah, Knocked Up and Forgetting Sarah Marshall had some of my sequels, but I don't count those because those aren't really official sequels. Most of these movies are on the level of the first Hangover movie, and they know that a sequel will probably do nothing but make us forget about these movies. So why can't The Hangover just follow in those footsteps, I should say? I'm sick and tired of Zach Galifianakis' character Alan in this. I'm sorry. Zach Galifianakis can be funny, but I'm sorry. This character is one of the worst characters I have ever seen in my entire life, because his progression from the first movie to the second movie to the third movie keeps getting worse and worse and worse with every passing film. And this film definitely is the bottom of the barrel. I went from liking this character in the first movie to hating him because he's so stupid. He's so childish. He's just a dick. And he does not get any better as these movies go on. He keeps getting worse. One of the worst things about The Hangover Part 2 was that Alan revealed he drugged everybody because Teddy's not part of our wolf pack. It's just like at that point, this character became detestable to me because in one scene, it proved to me that this character is nothing more but a selfish idiot. And in Part 3, they get in trouble because, guess what? Alan's the one who's responsible for this because Alan keeps hanging out with Mr. Chow, and that's why they're in the situation they're in. Any sane person would have taken Alan in the back behind the woodshed and kill him off of Mice and Men style, like what Lenny did to, what's his name? I can't remember his name. I got the names mixed up. What George did to Lenny, like they should have just taken Alan back behind the woodshed and just shoot him in the back of the head. That's how much I hate this guy so much. But no, we can't do that because they got to continue this mission because he's the fat, goofy, funny guy, and it's just like, well, it's not a big deal at all. The comedy here is so terrible. The biggest cock tease of this movie, and what could have saved the movie for a little bit, is that giraffe in the car scene. Now, like I said, that's the funniest scene in the trailer, and they don't show you the climax of that because, you know, it's a trailer for the movie. It's a trailer for the movie. They want you to see the movie to see the joke and pay off. You know, they had the potential to have to be the best scene in the movie, and it happens way early in the film. And let me tell you something. You know how that joke plays in the trailer? That's how it plays in the movie. Yeah, you don't see the payoff at all. And that made me so mad as hell. I almost walked out because I didn't get that payoff. And look, I get it. Visual effects have come a long way, but don't tell me with a budget of $103 million this movie. They spent $103 million on this one movie. For what? What did they use this on? Like, where did all that money go? You can't make a special effect where we see the giraffe's head come off. There's no money shot. There's no blood. There's no payoff whatsoever. And the whole scene is shot horribly. And to make matters worse, you got Hansen's MMMBop playing in the background. It's just like, and again, before you call me cruel, I'm 100% against animal abuse, but come on. You have an R-rated comedy to hype the scene up and to not give us that payoff. That is a big fuck you to the filmmakers themselves who knew that you coughed up $12 to see the movie and you didn't get exactly what you wanted from it. They waste John Goodman, too. John Goodman's a great actor, but I'm sorry. Him as the main villain in here, he's completely wasted. He serves no purpose to the plot whatsoever. He's in 3 scenes of this movie. He's supposed to be the main bad guy. And they just waste so many... These movies waste so many talented people in here and make them completely pointless characters. Even in the second movie. Remember, they were supposed to have a scene with Liam Neeson that was eventually going to be replaced by Bill Clinton and then replaced by Nick Cassavetes. Why? because they're recognizable names. Who cares what if we have a character to build around them? Fuck you. That's what the movie's basically telling you, is fuck you. And it's amazing. The one thing that made this movie somewhat redeemable was, of all things, Melissa McCarthy. You know, after watching her being the ultimate bitch in Identity Thief, being basically the equivalent of Zach Galifianakis in the Hangover movies, she was providing the only funny moments in the film. Like, it's finally good to see somebody using her talents to good use, and she provided the funniest moments of the film. Granted, it's 5 minutes, but at this point, I'll take anything at this point. This is a new low for sequels. The Hangover Part 3 took what made the first two movies good and just rapes it and gives it one of the most unpleasant film-going experiences I've had in a long, long time. This is without a doubt one of the worst movies I've seen all year. It's worse than Little Fockers. It's worse than Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son. That's the bar we're at, people. You have to suck really hard to top Big Mama's Like Father, Like Son and horribleness. That's how bad this movie is. Avoid The Hangover Part 3 like the plague, and I swear to God, if somebody out there tries to make a Hangover 4, I may just lose my faith in Hollywood, because we're getting a Rush Hour 4 because of our president, so, yeah. Because clearly the demand was there for Rush Hour 4, apparently, from anybody that's not outside the White House, but, yeah, that's a whole other thing altogether, but you get the idea. Hangover Part 3 sucks. It's one of the worst movies of the year, one of the worst comedies I've ever seen, one of the worst sequels of all time. I think you get the point. Sharknado. Sharknado is a 2013 made-for-television disaster movie about a waterspout that lifts sharks out of the ocean and deposits them in Los Angeles. It's the first installment of the Sharknado film series. It first aired originally on the Sci-Fi Channel in July of 2013 and was given one-night-only special midnight theatrical screenings at Regal Cinemas and NCM Fathom events, where it took in less than $200,000 at the box office and led to a series of sequels and basically saved the asylum. And yay, because that's exactly what this country needed. More bad rip-off movies from one of the worst studios on the planet. So, yeah, what's the plot of this movie? I think the title pretty much says it all. When a freak hurricane swamps Los Angeles, nature's deadliest killer rules seas, land, and air as thousands of sharks terrorize the waterlogged populace. And, okay, I get it. Some people want to say that, oh, why can't you just have fun with it? It's a so bad it's good type of movie. Just let people have their fun. Come on, man. And I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. I have to be the one that has to say this. This is fucking awful, man. It wasn't even a funny movie. It wasn't good because it was over the top. It wasn't a great bad movie. It's just a bad movie. There's nothing good about this movie whatsoever, even if you're looking for a guilty pleasure movie. I've seen so many other better guilty pleasure movies than this pile of garbage, and any of its sequels, which I'm assuming it gets even worse from there, but I've never seen any of the sequels. But this movie, I couldn't even take it after just this one movie. Like, yeah, I get it. People love bad shark movies, and okay, I get it. But at the same time, like, at least some of the worst shark movies that were made it to theaters, they at least had something of value to them. Like, I can still watch The Meg 2, which I hated that movie, but whenever the Meg shows up in that movie gets fun, and and that's the kind of fun, over-the-top stuff I want to see in my bad shark movies. Not this pile of garbage where everything about it is so horrible. Like, it's just a waste of talent. If your biggest star in the movie is Tara Reid and Ian Ziering in 2013... then you know that you have a really bad movie here. And this is a really bad movie. And all this did was give the asylum life from a company that was making these rip-off movies that were literally being sued by studios. And then they made Sharknado, and all of a sudden, like, all those people that wanted the studio gone, they went away. They went away, and essentially the asylum was saved because they had a studio backing them in Universal and Sci-Fi Channel, and it led to that great show Z Nation. Anybody remember that show? Because I certainly remember it. I remember it also not being that good either. Like, a Uwe Boll movie is a bad movie but you could still have at least fun watching a so bad it's good Uwe Boll movie. I mean, the guy does put his heart and soul into those movies, even though they're absolutely horrible, but the guy's trying. The guy is trying, even though he makes those movies specifically for tax write-offs for his country. But these are just not good movies whatsoever. And I'm sorry, even if you like bad shark movies, these movies are not fun by any means necessary. They're so horribly put together. There's nothing of value to this film whatsoever. The visuals are terrible, the action is terrible, the comedy is horrible, the cast is wasted in this, and I don't care if this was meant to be a bad movie, it's still a pile of shit. You can watch so many other bad shark movies and at least get more fun out of them, but this is just really pushing it way too far. I didn't like Snakes on a Plane, but you know what? I'd rather watch Snakes on a Plane again before I watch this shit over again. There's absolutely nothing about this movie that works, whether it's supposed to work or not. Just a terrible movie. I know I'm going to be one of the few people out there that has this on their worst movies list, but yeah, this is my list. So yeah, Sharknado, my number 26 movie, my worst movies of all time. So
I'm Gatsby.
I wish it could always be like this.
It will be.
I wish I could have warned her it was all about to crash.
What kind of a row are you trying to cause in my house?
I heard it killed love.
You want too much. This is a terrible mistake.
I just let myself go.
welcome to Time About the Movies. Once again, no intro this week. We're just jumping into it because we only have a couple movies to look at for May 10th, 2013. And, of course, the biggest one that we have here is Baz Luhrmann's adaptation of F. Scott Fitzgerald's classic novel, The Great Gatsby. This is definitely one of the more intriguing movies I've seen in my entire life because, on the one hand, there's a lot to trash about it because it's not really a film that really shows the true. How do I put this? Let's talk about Baz Luhrmann first. He is really one of those hotly divided directors when, there's movies that he makes that you either love them or you hate them. It's a matter of how you see them depending on whether or not you will like them or not. And me personally, I like what he did with Moulin Rouge, but most of his other stuff like Romeo and Juliet, Australia, Strictly Ballroom, Elvis, not so much. And this is one of those movies that I do like, but I will say it's one of those movies that's kind of odd to look at when you watch it the first time around and then you go back to it. And essentially, if you haven't heard the story of The Great Gatsby, it's about the life and times of millionaire Jay Gatsby, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and his neighbor Nick, played by Tobey Maguire, who recounts his encounter with Gatsby at the height of the Roaring '20s. And this is a movie where it really does get jumbled up right from the beginning, so much that I got confused the first time I saw it. I had no idea what the hell was going on because of how screwed up that first half of it was. And it's amazing how this is one of my favorite movies from that year. It was out solely because the editing is so insane in the first half. I mean, that may be the one thing I hate about Luhrmann's movies is that the editing is so off and all over the place. It gets really confusing at first, but there's stuff I like in the first half. Like, I love Joel Edgerton's character of Tom in this movie. Like, the first time that he sees Tobey Maguire and he calls him Shakespeare. Like, it's just, he's going with that fast pacing and all that. Just like, for some reason, that gets you hooked in. That gets you wanting to see the rest of this movie in general. It's just like, once we delve into the backstory of Jay Gatsby and find out who he really is, that's when the film really does start to come together overall. It reminded me a lot of Hugo, a movie that started off really slow in the beginning, but with no real purpose or anything. But once they get to the actual plot, that's when the movie really does come into play here. And, Leonardo DiCaprio having a fantastic year in general, because he'll have this, and then later on in the year he'll have one of his greatest performances in The Wolf of Wall Street. But in this, he proves he's one of our finest actors working by capturing a true representation of who Jay Gatsby would be like on screen. Tobey Maguire also really comes into his own in this movie, and like I said, Joel Edgerton as Tom Buchanan is great. I love watching it because it really reminded me whenever he's on screen. You know how back in the day when Phil Hartman and John Lovitch were on Saturday Night Live and they used to talk like 40s gangsters all the time? I mean, one of the great sketches they ever do was when Phil Hartman's a World War II actor at this Hollywood studio run by John Love, and he's telling him, you know, you're out of the business, and it's this great banter between the two of them, which I think was just a sketch that was just made so they could just talk like 40s gangsters. It's just like, you know, one of my favorite parts of it is at the end where John Love is just like, I think you're the worst actor in the world, and I get 500 letters a day telling me the same. And Phil Hartman's just like, what's the word on the street? Like that's great stuff right there. If you haven't seen that sketch, definitely check it out. But when I see that, when I see Joel Edgerton in this movie, that's what I think of when I see that, because it's just like, it's really, really good stuff here. Carey Mulligan's also really good in the movie, too. It's the first movie I've ever seen her in that I felt she was one of the stronger roles in it. Because she's been in a couple movies I didn't think were that great early on when I first saw it, but if there's any real flaws with the movie, it is the editing, which is probably one of the worst editing jobs I've ever seen for a movie. There's way too many abrupt cuts into the next scene, especially in the first act. It almost made me want to walk out because of how sloppy the editing was early on. Like, the movie itself was keeping me from walking out, and I could get past the shitty editing overall. I also like the stuff that didn't make a whole lot of sense. They don't explain why Caraway is inside of an insane asylum, and you think the movie's going to explain it, but they never do. They're just characters introduced for that, no purpose there whatsoever, especially in the ending. Like, how does security for Gatsby and one of his servants not notice the guy with the shotgun at the front entrance in the house before he killed Gatsby? And they never explain it. It just basically says, like, even security is tired of Gatsby's ass at this point. It's just like, go ahead, man. Hey, why don't I accompany you to the best spot so you can go kill him? Like, I mean, yeah, it's one of those fascinating movies where it starts off really, really slow and all over the place, and just like you wanted to slow down. But then once you get into the backstory of Gatsby and the conflicts that happen, that's when the movie really does come together overall, and it makes it work in the end. It's a movie that is definitely a very polarizing film, but it's one of the more fascinating films I've ever seen in my entire life, and it's one I go back to every once in a while. From the visual style to the music, the soundtrack is fantastic. One of the best soundtracks of the decade. And just, yeah, a great look overall. It's definitely my favorite Baz Luhrmann movie. And I love Moulin Rouge. I love, Cinema Paradiso. Did he do Cinema Paradiso? He did not do Cinema Paradiso. For some reason I thought he did. But, no, that was Giuseppe Tortone. But, that's still a great movie, too. You want to check that out. But this is my overall favorite Baz Luhrmann movie. The one I go back to every once in a while. It's just a really, really fun film. Starts off slow. But once we get to the second half, and it just really keeps going, and just really becomes something very entertaining overall.
It looks like a war zone down there.
Hey, Sheriff. Almost didn't recognize you in plain clothes.
Oh, it's my day off. Should be a quiet weekend. We have a situation. We've got a cartel with heavy firepower headed towards the border. And there's a strong chance they're coming your way. I've seen enough blood and death. I know what's coming. I'm not gonna let that guy come through our town without a fight.
Very nice. How are you, Sheriff?
Old. Bring everything you got. Who the hell are you? I'm the sheriff.
I'm still waiting to find a t-shirt with Arnold Schwarzenegger in that post saying, I'm the sheriff. Like, I've been looking online for that for 12 years now. I have yet to be able to find it. So if somebody out there could tell me where I can get a shirt like that, please let me know in the comments down below, because, man, I want one so badly. I love the hell out of this movie, man. I mean, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger returning to a fun action film overall, and it's a great movie, and of course it bombed at the box office. Of course it did, because why wouldn't it? Of course the good movies are going to get pushed aside for crap like Broken City, and a good, not great movie in Mama. But in it, Sheriff Ray Owens, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, is a man who has resigned himself to a life of fighting, with little crime takes place in sleepy border town Summerton Junction. Which sounds like something you would see here in like a title of a Rankin Bass holiday special, in the town of Summerton Junction. But he's leaving after his LAPD post following a bungled operation left him racked with failure and defeat after his partner was crippled. After a spectacular escape from an FBI prison convoy, as you can see, that features like a literal barrier thing. I mean, holy shit. Gabriel Cortez, played by Eduardo Noriega, the most notorious wanted drug kingpin in the hemisphere, is hurtling towards the border at 200 miles an hour in a specifically outfitted car, a Chevrolet Corvette C6 ZR1. I was about to cough there for a second, excuse me. But a Chevrolet Corvette C6 ZR1, with a hostage and a fierce army of gang members. He is headed, it turns out, straight for Summerton Junction, where the whole of the U.S. law enforcement will have their last opportunity to make a stand and intercept him before he slips across the border forever. At first reluctant to become involved and then counted out because of the perceived ineptitude of his small-town force, Owens ultimately accepts responsibility for the face-off. And as I mentioned, the big story with the movie was the fact that it was a big bomb at the box office, and sadly it didn't bode well for Schwarzenegger's big film comeback. But we got 2 more movies for him to try and regain that status, and there was also talks back then of another Terminator movie, which turned out not to be that great overall. And Sabotage, not really that great. But then the one he did with Maggie was actually pretty good, and we'll get to that, but this really is one of his best movies, and I love the movies that don't. I like more of his. Here's the weird thing: I like more of his movies that bomb that actually don't than the ones that actually make money. Now, don't get me wrong. He's made classics: Terminator 1 and 2, True Lies, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, Predator, Commando, Eraser. We talked about these movies in depth on this show and also on Flashback, but these are great movies, but there were 2 really good movies that he made that were not big hits. The original The Running Man was not a big hit when it came out, and The Sixth Day was a big flop when it came out, but that movie's pretty awesome. I even love some of his really terrible movies, like Jingle All the Way. Batman and Robin is a bad movie. It's one of the worst superhero movies ever made, but it's still a ton of fun with it, because Arnold Schwarzenegger's having the time of his life with that role. And yeah, you can add this to it, but it's, in all seriousness, it's a really good movie. It's so unbelievable and how stupid it is that you can't take it seriously, but it's a fun, over-the-top action movie. You will really love it, and that's how I really went into this movie, and it was really one of the best theater-going experiences I had in years. And it does, admittedly, start slow. It does start off at a slow pace, but within 5 minutes, the film picks up the pace. By the time the final climax starts, you can't wait to see this big action spectacle that they're hyping up in the trailer, which does not disappoint you at all, which gives you everything that you want to see. You got him and Johnny Knoxville in a bus using a special gun to blow this guy into smithereens with body parts splattered all over the place. And the others where this kind old lady just grabs a shotgun, shoots one of the crime lords through a window, and both of this happens within 2 minutes. And I was laughing so goddamn hard when I saw this the first time. I mean, that's how hilarious this movie's over-the-top ridiculousness is. Yeah, the rest of the cast is mediocre. They're your typical stock characters. The villain is very generic, and he has one of the most cartoonish voices I've ever heard in a movie before. And he's supposed to be this big bad drug lord. He sounds like a freaking cartoon character. He sounds like Roger Rabbit, really. And yeah, that's kind of the negatives about it, but despite all of that, this is still a really, really fun movie. This is a solid, over-the-top action flick with a lot of flaws going against it, but at the same time, it's not meant to be taken seriously at all. It's about going to the movies, turning your brain off, grab a bowl of popcorn, grab a drink, and just have the time of your life, and that's exactly what happened here. And it was something that I really needed, because I had seen some bad movies up to that point, and this really was a film that I had to see, and I was not disappointed by it at all. This easily is the best movie of the week, one of the best movies of the year, The Last Stand. If you haven't seen it and you're a big Schwarzenegger fan, what are you doing with your life, man? Get out for your ass and go see The Last Stand. It's one of the best movies of the year, and one of Schwarzenegger's best, in my opinion.
Corpses do not think. They do not bleed. They are incapable of remorse.
Nice watch. I don't want to be this way. I'm lonely. I'm lost. Wait, I'm literally lost. I've never been in this part of the airport before.
I want to spend my life with a girl like you.
Say something human. Nailed it.
Dad, he saved my life. I don't understand, but he's changing, and he's learning to be human again.
Don't be creepy, don't be creepy. Oh, man.
Shoot on sight. We're their food source. They are not becoming vegan.
You're safe. Warm bodies. Be dead. It's too much.
PG-13, February 1st.
And welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the first 3 films of February 2013. And we start off with our first film, Warm Bodies, which focuses on the development of a relationship between Julie, played by Teresa Palmer, a young woman, and R, played by Nicholas Hoult, who's a zombie, and how their eventual romance develops throughout. The film is noted for displaying human characteristics and zombie characters and being told from a zombie's perspective. As you can tell from the trailer early on, you know, he kind of starts off like a regular zombie, doing the whole brains and all that type of stuff, not really having a vocabulary, but as the film goes on, he starts to talk more like the humans do, and that's one of the things I kind of thought was pretty interesting about this film. But I did really enjoy this movie a lot. It was actually very, very good. I thought it was very cute. I thought it was very creative for what they were able to do. I thought it was an overall solid movie. I mean, I thought Hoult and Palmer worked off each other very well. You know, Rob Corddry's given a really good performance in here. They don't really have a whole lot of dialogue to work with because they're zombies, but you buy their chemistry when these two, you buy Hoult's chemistry with Palmer, but you also buy it with Corddry as well, even though him and Corddry can't really talk about much because Corddry's obviously a zombie. But if there's some things I have with the flaws of the film, I thought the visual effects overall were pretty good for the most part here. Maybe not flaws just yet. I'll get to the flaws a little bit on. But I did really like the visual effects on this. I thought the bonies overall were actually kind of cool. They didn't look fake. They actually looked realistic and actually looked really, really cool overall when they did that. I thought the humor and the comedy was very well done. Jonathan Levine, who made one of my favorite movies of 2011, 50/50, does a great job with this as the director of this movie. The one flaw I have with this film in particular is the fact that it's the way that the zombies change course over the film. They don't really explain why it's because of, you know, Nicholas Hoult's feelings for Teresa Palmer's character that all the zombies are changing back into normal beings. I mean, it's just kind of like, it just kind of happens. There's not really given a whole lot of explanation for it. I don't know if it's explained in the book that this is based off of, but I don't know. I don't really know if it was something brought up in the book or not, but like I said, it doesn't really overall ruin the ebb and flow of the movie. It's kind of like the Groundhog Day thing with me. Like, why is Phil Connors always waking up on Groundhog Day? We never find out. We never get an explanation for it, and we don't know how long he's been doing it, but you just kind of accept it because the movie's doing a good enough job that you don't really question it overall. And this movie did a fantastic job with the material that was given to them. It was a solid romantic comedy. It's on that same creative and unique level that something like Shaun of the Dead was 10 years ago. And it really doesn't have any major flaws with it, except the one I mentioned. But even then, this is still a really good movie. And so far, we've had some pretty good films to start this year off here. We've already had The Last Stand, which was pretty awesome, and now this one. And then next week, we'll have another one of my favorite movies of the year coming up, but I'll touch on that at the end of the show. There was a good movie that came out this weekend that nobody wanted to go see because, heaven forbid, we put the money that we put into Identity Thief into a really good movie like Steven Soderbergh's latest film, Side Effects.
I love everything about him. He swept me off my feet.
I can get us back to where we were, Anne. Promise. You remember this beautiful lady here?
She looks amazing.
She's doing well.
How things been going with you?
I can finally sleep. I have some energy. We had sex.
Whoever makes this truck is going to be rich.
911, what's your emergency?
Someone's been murdered.
What do we do?
Where's her lawyer?
She doesn't have one. Just kept talking about you.
Would you have treated her differently if she was a man?
That's not what happened.
Em, what is going on?
I'll make you treat my doctor in the morning.
Someone gets punished.
I had no idea this was going on.
He was lying to her, and he was lying to me.
I would never be here if it weren't for you.
I want my life back!
You know I'm not crazy. Everyone knows everything.
Em, are you awake?
Destroy that before it destroys you.
Side Effects, February 8th.
But no, instead of seeing a smart, savvy movie like this, no, let's put the money into the garbage that we just talked about here. But this is a really good movie. This is one of my favorite movies of the year, easily. You have Emily, played by Rooney Mara, and Martin, played by Channing Tatum, who are a successful New York couple whose world unravels when a new drug prescribed by Emily's psychiatrist, played by Jude Law, intended to treat anxiety, has unexpected side effects. Now, at the time, this was kind of a big deal because this was supposed to be Steven Soderbergh's last theatrical film, and his last film was going to be the Liberace movie Beyond the Candelabra that came out the following year. But of course, he hasn't done that. He's gone on to direct many other movies, some good ones, especially one that came out this year, Black Bag, which I highly recommend checking out. But you know, with a director who's managed to tap into so many different genres over the course of his career, it was weird to think that his theatrical directing career was going to end with a real downer of a film. I'm not even kidding, man. this was probably the most depressing movie I've seen in a very long time. I mean, I saw both United 93 and World Trade Center, and this movie was just like, oh my god, man, lighten the fuck up. But, again, with all that said, this is still one of the best movies of the year, easily. The performances are great. Rooney Mara is really good in this movie. She gives a very convincing performance, maybe even more so than Elizabeth Salander in The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I thought Jude Law was really good in here, playing the doctor in here. Catherine Zeta-Jones is very good, playing her former doctor. And the biggest surprise being that Channing Tatum, you know, he's only in here for a little bit, and yet he once again proves that he's still got the acting chops overall. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and sure enough, that would show up in other movies. The dark feel of the story works really well, too, and it's definitely present in every scene of the film, even in some of the lighter flashbacks. You can just feel a dark presence in the background, and I love the way the film does that. Like, even when the happy moments are there, there's just that sense of an aura of something that's about to be fucked up with these two, and, you know, I give the movie credit for not going on a happy note like other movies of this type do. Like, this is one of those movies that doesn't play it safe. It gives you the cold, hard truth of reality in general. And, I mean, I'll be honest, the first half didn't really click with me at first, but first half just kind of felt like scenes that were clipped together without any real connection to the other. And, you know, I got lost for a little bit, but then the plot comes in, you know, one character gets killed off, and all of a sudden, all these problems I had with the first film quickly went away. And if there's any other thing I'll give the movie a flack for, it's that it felt a little too long for its own good. There's a point where you think it's going to come to an end, but then it's just like, okay, now here's the next part of the story. It's just like, you were about to wrap it up, it looked like, but, I mean, despite everything I say, this is still a really, really damn good movie. This is still one of the best movies I've seen this year. The actors are great in here. The twist ending I thought was actually pretty impressive overall, too. Like, I liked the twist that it took. Like, that dark feel really helps this film overall. It doesn't sugarcoat the story and shows you the really twisted things that can happen with some people like this, especially with the things that they're going through here. I mean, if Steven Soderbergh was going to wrap his career up with a movie like this, I would have been more than okay with it, because he made a fantastic fucking film. But yeah, this is still one of the best movies of the year. Can't recommend this one enough. Side Effects.
Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz are back. What? On August 23rd. One night, 12 pubs. Let's do that! It's the pub crawl. The town's been taken over by robots full of blue stuff. End them all. What do we do? Let's finish our drinks.
Let's climb down the drain pipe.
I got a better idea.
Climb down the drain pipe.
The world's end. We are gonna get to the world's end if it kills us. Oh no. Rated R.
Oh yeah, you know it's a Cornetto trilogy movie when you have one of the characters running into a fence, and this time the whole fence comes down, and it makes sense for the other movies in general. But this is The World's End, the third and final installment of the Cornetto trilogy, in which 20 years after attempting an epic pub crawl, 5 childhood friends played by Simon Pegg, Nick Frost, Martin Freeman, Paddy Considine, and Eddie Marsan reunite when one of them become hell-bent on trying to drink the drinking marathon again. They are convinced to stage an encore by mate Gary King, played by Simon Pegg, a 40-year-old man trapped at the cigarette end of his teens, who drags his reluctant pals to their hometown, and once again attempts to reach the fabled pub, The World's End. As they attempt to reconcile the past and present, they realize the real struggle is for the future, not just for them, but humankind, and reaching the world's end is the least of their worries. And I like how this premise on here doesn't tell you the twist in the movie, which you can see a little bit of in the commercial we just saw, but I mean, it's really hard to top what Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz was in general. And yeah, The World's End attempted to try to copy that, and yeah, and a lot of people were really worried about it. Some people said it was really hard for them to do it, but I really thought they really did top it up big time with this movie. I mean, not only did they succeed, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably my favorite film in the entire trilogy. And I know it's hard to believe because, you know, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, as you see over here, they're over here for a specific reason. I love all 3 of these movies on their own. I paid a lot of money for those steelbooks from Everything Blue for good reason. I absolutely love those movies, but this one honestly might be my favorite one of the movie, of these films in general. There's just so much about this movie I love. The characters are great, the story is very inventive, the visuals are impressive, and it's just a fun movie. It has probably my favorite Simon Pegg performance overall when I look at this movie. I love him playing the leader of this movie, the guy that just doesn't give a fuck and loves to be the egotistical asshole that he is. You can see that he's so desperate to complete this mission, and that he also cares about getting the gang back together to make it happen, but at the same time, he's so arrogant, so he really doesn't care about what the gang's been up to since the last time they met, and I might be the only one that thinks this, but every time I watch this, I always think of watching Gary in this and thinking to myself, he reminds me a lot of Nostalgia Critic, back when the original Nostalgia Critic run was on the air. Not like now, where he's kind of a little bit, he's not as much of a kind of a likable jackass that he was back then nowadays. But yeah, when I watch this, all I can think to myself is that this reminds me a lot of Nostalgia Critic whenever they do the anniversary movies, where he just goes overboard for that one goal that he wants, doesn't care what anybody else thinks of what he says until they actually are on the mission and all that. And that's what I think of when I watch this movie, man. I just love him so much in this movie. Simon Pegg is such a fun character to watch in this. I mean, this is a great, great performance by him. The rest of the cast overall is great in here. Everybody plays their parts out very well here. The comedy is really good. There's a lot of good funny one-liners from everybody involved in here. The visuals are impressive. The robotic designs are actually pretty damn good for a movie with as small of a budget like this, and I love the twists and turns they take with this movie. It's a welcome sign, considering how we've had a lot of movies this particular summer that had these lame-ass twists to them, but this one really did knock it out of the park. And what more can I say about this movie, man? I mean, you see how much I love this movie, that I've spent so much money on this and the other sets right there. This is a fantastic, fantastic movie, man. I enjoy the hell out of this film. It's one of the best movies of the year, easily. A great film, great characters, great story, great visuals, a lot of great comedy. It's an amazingly funny film. I enjoy it on every single level. The World's End. Yeah, can't recommend this puppy enough. One of the best movies of the year, so...
Audiences and critics everywhere are boldly embracing. I love you, Bob. 12 Years a Slave is the winner of the Golden Globe Award, Producers Guild Award, and Critics' Choice Award for Best Picture of the Year. There is no justice in this slavery. Nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director, and Best Picture of the Year. Don't miss the triumph of 12 Years a Slave. Rated R. Now playing everywhere.
Yes, go ahead and show Brad Pitt's only scenes in the movie. I'm not even kidding. Like, that's just some of the parts that he's in the final 20 minutes of this movie. Like, he's not in this movie as much as this trailer makes it out to be. But anyway, this is the Best Picture winner of the year, 12 Years a Slave. Based on the incredible true story of one man's fight for survival and freedom in the pre-Civil War United States, Solomon Northup, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, is a free black man from upstate New York and is abducted and sold into slavery. Facing cruelty personified by a malevolent slave owner portrayed by Michael Fassbender, as well as unexpected kindness, Solomon struggles not only to stay alive, but to retain his dignity. In the 12th year of his unforgettable odyssey, Solomon's chance meeting with a Canadian abolitionist, played by Brad Pitt, will forever alter his life. And, yeah, this is one of those movies that I keep talking about this film, you know, kind of on the same vein as Schindler's List in general here. But, yeah, it's a movie that really is, it's great. It's one of the best movies of the year, but I freely admit, this is a film I very rarely watch over and over again. Even though this is a fantastic film, this really is one of the best movies of the year, and marks another winner for director Steve McQueen, following Shane, that came out a couple years prior. And it gives Chiwetel Ejiofor the chance to prove to everybody that he can lead a movie, and his struggles to survive in the movie are amazing to watch. This is his movie, and he takes the opportunity to shine in it overall in this. I mean, everybody else is doing a good job in this. Michael Fassbender, definitely deserving of that Oscar nomination he got for Best Supporting Actor. Brad Pitt, even though it's a very small scene, it's a good scene. Benedict Cumberbatch is really good in here too, and a much better movie than The Fifth Estate. But of course, Lupita Nyong'o, everyone talks about her in this because, yeah, she won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar in this, and it's not hard to see why, because she's fucking amazing in this. I mean, this is a great actress all the way through. Like, we've seen it all through the years since then. But yeah, she definitely deserved to win the Oscar for this one, because she does give the best performance in this behind Ejiofor. The script by John Ridley is nicely done and sticks very close to the original source material, which is very rare for a film adaptation based on a book. Hans Zimmer's score is very well done, with a little bit of an homage to Inception in there too. The cinematography is very good as well. And like I said, this is a very hard movie to watch, and I mean hard to watch. The whole movie shows that what has happened to this guy was wrong, what has happened to these people is wrong, and the way that we treated them back then is wrong. And the hardest part of this of watching this is just seeing everybody getting whipped. And in most movies, you hear the whipping noise, but you don't usually see the effects except for like rope burns. But here, they get graphic, man. Like, not only do you see the rope burns, but you see Ejiofor and Nyong'o getting whipped so hard that you see blood and chunks of their skin being splattered. And when that happens, that's when the movie just becomes so gut-wrenching to watch, man. And the worst part of it all is that we as a society let this happen. It's hard to believe that we lived in a time when this was once considered okay. That's what makes those scenes all the more gut-wrenching to watch, knowing that this was a real thing. It is really fucked up in a way. And that's why I consider it to be kind of like the Schindler's List for this generation. It's a great movie, but man, it's hard to watch on multiple occasions because of the elements brought in that actually happened and what were considered common at the time. I mean, Schindler's List was pretty much the same thing. You know, you had all these people being taken away from their homes by these terrorists and these people who were killing them, you know, it was just a really hard thing to watch in general, in that case in general here. And yeah, it's very much the same thing with this movie. It's but it does give, like I said, it does give the film a good job of giving Chiwetel Ejiofor a chance to shine as a leading man. The performances overall are great. The characters are well done. The cinematography is great. The story is well done. The music is well done. But it is a movie that it's very hard to watch on multiple occasions just because of the source material overall. But it should not be understated how good this movie is. This is very high up there with one of the best movies of the year. This is easily up there in general with that. This is a film that does need to be seen to see how we let this happen in the world and how this guy got a happy ending out of it, at least, or a way out of it at least. But it can be hard to watch, yes, but you come out realizing that the filmmakers really did care for the source material for this and the motivation of what they were trying to do here and wanted to bring it to life the best way they can. And that's exactly what they did here. It's a movie that takes a lot of chances, and it pays off big time in a big, big way for this. I can't recommend this one enough. 12 Years a Slave, outstanding movie. Plain and simple, but yeah, it's one of those ones where it's going to be really, really hard to watch on multiple occasions, but you see why it won the Best Picture, and I personally would have liked to see Gravity win it, but this movie's about as good as Gravity, so I'd be willing to take that as a consolation prize. So anyway, yeah, that's 12 Years a Slave.
This is Walter's secret life. I'm Walter, Mitty. This holiday season, he'll stop dreaming and start living.
You're in Iceland.
I'm looking for Ayafchalakuta.
The secret life of Walter Mitty. Rated PG.
So I've kind of already touched on a video on this earlier in the year, so if you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link to it in the corner. But this is a movie that's basically a remake of a classic movie from the 40s about a daydreamer who's 40s or 50s, but it's a daydreamer who escapes his anonymous life by disappearing into a world of fantasies filled with heroism, romance, and action. When his job, along with that of his co-worker, played by Kristen Wiig, are threatened, Walter takes action in the real world, embarking on a global journey that turns into an adventure more extraordinary than anything he could ever imagine. Like, if you want to see the visual inspiration for Severance came from, this is the movie to really show with here. This is an impressive feat for Ben Stiller to really delve into some unique territory here. The casting is great. He's great playing the main character in this, giving probably one of his best performances overall. I know that trailer. I'll say this: the trailers on TV really do a bad job of selling the movie, which probably is why the movie didn't do as well as it should have. But yeah, Ben Stiller's not that obnoxious in this movie. Kristen Wiig I thought was pretty good as the love interest here. I like a chemistry with Stiller. Adam Scott giving another great villainous performance in this. Like he really makes it work. Sean Penn's really good in here, giving one of the stronger performances of his career. Shirley MacLaine, Catherine Hahn, Patton Oswalt. I mean, this is a really, really good cast in this movie with a really good setup here. The fantasy sequences are excellent. The transitions, these are seamless. They all work really well. There's one in particular that doesn't work that well, but it's just one out of a couple. So yeah, you take what you can get here. The cinematography is top-notch here. I thought the ending worked really, really well. I thought it was really well done. And it was one of those ones where I came out of it going like, I didn't really know how to feel about this ending. I thought it was mostly not that good. But once I got around to it and once I thought about it more, I did find myself enjoying it a lot more than I could have imagined. The only thing I didn't like about it was that one dream sequence where it's literally a parody of The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It feels really unnecessary. Just like it didn't feel like it needed to be in there. It felt like Ben Stiller didn't take his own medicine by looking at Tropic Thunder and saying, is with the Simple Jack thing and all that. It's just like, I want to do a movie. I want to do something like that. Except I want to do it with Benjamin Button. That's what I kind of felt like with that part in particular. But I mean, it's a movie that I'm baffled a lot of people are mixed on, because this is a really, really damn good movie. A very underrated film. And like I said, it's a precursor to what Ben Stiller would bring to the table with Severance later on, because you can see a lot of influences from this movie in that show. And Severance is a great show overall, but like I said, I've touched on this in greater length, so if you want to go check that out, link will be in the corner. So anyway, that's The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So
It's the most beautiful thing I've seen in my life.
You get a name?
Barbara Sugarman.
Oh, that's her?
That's definitely her.
Oh, gotcha. She's a dime.
This girl's more than a dime, bro.
There's no such thing. It's a scale from 1 to 10.
Just say it.
You might have to take this girl out for coffee.
Really?
This is the long game, son.
So how'd you find me?
I just looked up your name.
Mine's definitely did not tell you my name.
Why'd you come here, huh?
You're not getting that from Barbara Sugarman anytime in the immediate future.
You're just gonna have to wait to find out.
I got time. Don John, rated R.
I mean, if Scarlett Johansson looking as scrumptious and as juicy as she does in this movie isn't going to turn you on, then clearly I don't know what to do for you. So in the movie, you have John Martello, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who objectifies everything in his life. His apartment, his car, his family, his church, and of course, women. His buddies even call him Don John because of his ability to pull tens every weekend without fail. Yet even the finest things don't compare to the transcendent bliss he achieves alone in front of the computer watching pornography. Dissatisfied, he embarks on a journey to find a more gratifying sex life, but ends up learning larger lessons of life and love through relationships with two very different women, the aforementioned Scarlett Johansson and also Julianne Moore. And this is a movie I knew about very late. I didn't even see trailers for this until about a month before the movie came out, and I had no idea where this movie had even come from, because it kind of came out of nowhere. And trailers really kind of suckered me into it, and I got what I wanted when I saw this movie. I was hyped to see it, and not only was this a great movie, but it was one of the best movies I saw that year easily. I mean, this is a fantastic movie. I really love the hell out of this film. It did everything a lot of movies this year had failed to deliver. A silly, fun, over-the-top, and surprisingly moving romantic comedy. In a way, it's a lot like one of my favorite films from last year, my favorite from last year, and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Silver Linings Playbook. Except it's much more raunchier. The cast in here is great. Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets another chance to really shine and show his acting abilities in this. He's one of the best characters I've seen in a while. And Scarlett Johansson, like I said, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. This is the sexiest I've ever seen her in. And not only that, her character was a ton of fun, too, because we've all met somebody like her. We've all seen somebody like her. And Johansson just knocks it out of the park. She delivers one of the best out-of-place lines in the movie I've ever seen. It's the scene where she's at a door and Levitt and Johansson are making out while she's talking dirty to John, and out of nowhere she's just like, you should go back to school. And it's just like, at that moment I was just like, okay, I literally was laughing my ass off when I saw that. Just the way she said it and the situation that it's in. It's great. It's great stuff. And you got a great cast in here too. Tony Danza I thought was excellent in the movie, and Glenn Headley playing his parents. And Julianne Moore, who was a character that you really felt like at first she really wasn't kind of unnecessary to the storyline. She really wasn't going to play a whole lot to this role in particular, but as the movie continues and her character grows, she actually does become more important to the storyline than you expect it to. And it's not like a character being thrown in there. She plays a part in the storyline here. You really do get invested with every character in here because of how well Gordon-Levitt writes and directs this. I mean, the character of John, like I said, is one of the more fascinating film characters I've ever seen. He's a guy who loves having sex and watching porn, but yet he confesses to the church about these actions every time he does it. The dialogue is so good in here. The laugh-out-loud moments are perfect. There's good dialogue written here that you actually do hear in this. Like, John's whole perceptions of women, of the way women think with romantic comedies, is so pitch-perfect. And I'm so glad that even Levitt realizes that the way women see these romantic comedies is so disturbing. And, like, in a way, his perceptions are very much in the same way of dating, on the way dating works is very similar to how Steve Harvey does it in Think Like a Man. But once again, raunchier, too. In fact, one of my favorite scenes is when Gordon-Levitt and Julianne Moore's characters have just gotten done having sex, and they talk about why Levitt and Johansson's characters broke up, and the way it's presented is very well done. It doesn't feel forced at all, or fake at all either. The pacing of the film is well done, too. It's only an hour and a half long, and there's not a single point where Levitt could have cut anything out. It ends on a really good note and a good message that you can't just judge a book by its cover. And it really opened my life up to Joseph Gordon-Levitt as a whole, because, man, the dude is such a masterful entertainer as a whole. Like, he's right up there with guys like Craig Ferguson, Conan O'Brien, Neil Patrick Harris. I mean, this is a guy that whenever you see him in something, you know he's going to give 110% no matter what it is. Like, it was because of this I really got to enjoy his Hit Record on TV stuff, which is excellent stuff. If you haven't looked at that online, definitely look for that stuff too. This is a movie I've been waiting for a long time. A smart, funny, sexy, surprisingly heartwarming original comedy that makes you think it's going in one direction, but it goes into an entirely different direction altogether, and still manages to entertain the audience involved in it. It's one of the most perfect movies I've ever seen. It's one of the best movies of 2013. One of my all-time favorite movies, easily. And, again, it sadly did not find an audience when it came out. And if you haven't seen it, seek out Don John. Seek it out. It's definitely a movie you need to see. Fantastic, fantastic film. I can't recommend this one enough. Don John.
In Arendel's fair kingdom, a ruler did appear. Born with a secret power so great, alone she stayed in fear.
Get it together. Control it.
Although the force was hidden, one day she let it go. Sorcery. And all the land was covered in eternal ice and snow.
It's completely frozen.
Please, just stay away. Elsa! I'll bring her back and I'll make this right.
So you're not scared?
She's my sister. She would never hurt me.
Yeah, I bet she's the nicest person ever. Huh? Am I right? No. Hi. You're creepy.
Whoa! I don't want it.
Whoa, back at you.
Ew, the body.
Hi, everyone. I'm Olaf.
Did Elsa build you?
Yeah, why? We need Elsa to bring back summer.
Olaf!
Now I'm perfect.
Almost. Oh, woo!
Hedra!
So cute. He's like a little baby unicorn.
Heads up!
It is not nice to throat snow people.
Whoa, 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 feisty pants. Your hair is turning white.
Does it look bad?
No. You hesitated. No, I didn't. Yeah! Wolves. I got this.
But I want to help.
Whoa! 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 Now we just have to survive this blizzard!
That's no blizzard! That's my sister! For the first time in forever, I'm getting start dreaming of. Always have to chance.
If we don't do something soon, we'll all freeze to death.
Stop the winter, please.
Don't you see? I can't. You know it all ends tomorrow, so it has to be today.
Let's go bring back summer!
I'm not leaving without you, Elsa. Olaf, you're melting.
Some people are worth melting for. You're just maybe not right this second.
Nothing's in my way.
Hang in there, guys!
You know, it's funny, that trailer I just showed you was one that I didn't see until well after the movie had come out, and I thought it was one of those weird trailers, kind of like, remember when Home Alone 2 had that, Jingle Bells, that Deck the Halls trailer that came out after the movie had already come out? I thought it was one of those things, but when I looked at the video again, that video came out on October 17th, a month before the movie came out, so I don't know. I don't know what to tell you there, but this is, of course, Frozen. This is the movie that kind of was the equivalent to The Lion King, and you can see why it says in there, experienced the greatest Disney adventure since The Lion King, because, yeah, it was pretty much that type of a hit. It was a movie that was a massive critical success, financial success, of course won the Oscar for Best Original Song and Best Animated Feature, grossed over $400 million in the U.S., making it the highest grossing animated film of all time at that point. I mean, this was a gigantic hit all the way across the board, and really, it's not hard to see why. I mean, this is a movie that is the ultimate crowd-pleaser movie in general, and it works all the way for the most part. This is based off of Lucy the Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen, Disney taking another classic story like they did with Andersen's The Little Mermaid. The film tells the story of a fearless princess who sets off on an epic journey alongside a rugged ice trader, his loyal reindeer, and a hapless snowman to find her estranged sister, whose icy powers have trapped the kingdom in eternal water. And this really is a phenomenal movie. I mean, yeah, it got overkill later on, but I don't care, man. This movie is still pretty fun overall. This is a movie that still is very entertaining overall when it's all said and done. Everything about this movie feels like the classic Disney movies from the 80s and 90s. I'm talking about Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion King, and it breaks new grounds like the old Disney movies of the 90s did. There's a lot about this movie I really liked about it. The characters are well done. You do like all these characters. Anna and Elsa are great characters, and I like the fact that they actually portray a queen in here that's not pure evil. That's a really refreshing thing for them. But it's just like, I love the fact that they did that in this movie, because, yeah, they're the typical Disney princess characters, and they are uniquely aware of the stereotypes of all Disney films, such as the great bit about, marrying somebody you met that day on that day, or Kristoff's great bit about how men act. Also loved how at the end of the film there was a disclaimer that Disney actually threw in there, where they say that, there's a part in the movie where he's talking about how men act, and, there's one of those things where he's talking about, men eating their boogers, like, and Disney actually had a claim at the bottom there, literally saying, Kristoff's claims that men eat their boogers is untrue. It's just, I like the fact that they threw that in there as a side joke there. That's something that you probably don't catch unless you really look at the credits overall. I like Kristoff overall. I like the fact that he is a really fun character overall. The comic relief characters are a lot of fun. Sven and Olaf. And I like Hans as a character. They kind of do the same thing they did with Gaston and Beauty and the Beast. And he essentially turns out to be kind of the bad guy in here. This was back before Disney overkilled it with a surprise villain in every single movie. Because that trope this was before that trope got really, really old. But, the voice acting is top-notch. Kristen Bell is great as Anna. Idina Menzel as Elsa is terrific. And something that I thought was kind of interesting, I did not know there was Kristen Bell as Anna until I heard her at the very end of the movie. It's just it's one of those things where I knew she was in there, but I couldn't put it together that was actually her. But Jonathan Groff was pretty good as Kristoff. Josh Gad was great as Olaf. Santiago Fontana was great as Hans. Alan Tudyk has some good funny moments as the Duke of Weaselton, even though I thought at first it was Malcolm McDowell doing the voice, but then again, it's a Disney animated film in the 2010s, and Alan Tudyk's basically the equivalent to John Ratzenberger in the 90s and 2000s, where at Pixar, where he's going to show up in every Pixar movie playing a different voice. The story is very well done. It mixes the classic Disney fairy tale, but adds a lot of new elements to it that makes for one of the really more enjoyable movies to come out in the last few years. And I like the fact that it doesn't resort to modern-day jokes and play down to its audience. It brought both the old and the new together and made something really great. The music is top-notch. Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez, who at that point had written for the Book of Mormon and, of course, Winnie the Pooh, they deliver a lot of really good music, and they basically became this generation's Alan Menken and Howard Ashman or Tim Rice, where they wrote a lot of really good songs. And yes, Let It Go is definitely one of the best songs in Disney history. It's one that's, yeah, again, it's been overplayed, but you know what? It's a pretty damn good song overall, no question about it. And the best thing about this movie, the animation. It's that classic Disney animation modernized with a 3D computer animated world and perfected beautifully. Tangled was a good starting point for that. Wreck-It Ralph was close to perfecting it, and Frozen perfects it in this case. It's some of the best CG the studio had done up to that point, and they kind of upped the ante with Frozen 2, in my opinion. And yeah, I don't think Disney should stop with the 2D animated movies, but I'm just saying that you can find a way to do a CG movie and then a 2D movie and not just skip over the 2D films. That'd be great. Also, with the mention of Tangled, yeah, if you look real closely, Rapunzel and Eugene actually have a cameo in this movie in the opening song of the movie, for the first time in forever. I didn't notice that until well after I saw the film. I thought that was a nice little touch there. So it basically means that Tangled and Frozen are essentially in the same universe together. But if there are any real flaws, it's the bad guy's evil plan. It's really not that thought out, and they don't really tease it early on with the character would turn evil at all. And that's one of those things where it's kind of like, let me put it this way. When they kind of reveal, like, a specific element before the big reveal of what his purpose is there, it felt more like he looked at that and said, really? That could happen to me if this is the case? It's just like, it didn't feel natural. At least with Gaston, you knew early on that this guy was not on the right, that something was iffy about this guy right from the get-go. But here, yeah, it was a little too close to call on that front there. But other than that, though, this is a nearly perfect Disney animated movie. And I won't go as far to say it's the best one they've done since The Lion King, but, because there's been some other good ones, Lilo and Stitch, Princess and the Frog, Winnie the Pooh, but Frozen really is one of their stronger movies overall. 99% of the film works. It's well-paced. The story is great. The animation is gorgeous. The characters are great. It's just Disney making that comeback run they had stronger with every new movie that came out. And you had a really great Mickey Mouse short that came out at the front of it that not a lot of people talk about. I think it was for the 85th anniversary of Mickey Mouse, Get a Horse, which you want to talk about a short that combines 2D and 3D very well. That short there is so well done. The 2D captures the spirit and the magic of the Disney cartoons of the 20s, but, I mean, it combines it with 3D very well, and it's one of those things where that should have gotten the Best Animated Short Oscar nomination. I'm sorry, that should have won. Like, I haven't seen the other animated shorts, but I'm sorry, that one was the best one, no matter what. But, I mean, that's just my personal take on it. It's a great short overall, but, yeah, I really do love that one a lot, so. Just a great package overall for the holidays, so.
I don't know, I'm spinning, I can't.
Yeah, but that backflip though.
Okay, that's not from Gravity. That's a vine from King Batch. I just had to throw that in there because when am I ever going to use that again? But here is the real trailer for Gravity.
Beautiful, don't you think?
What?
The sunrise.
Terrific.
I mean, it did a really good job of sucking people into it because it made for a really great experience going to see it on the big screen. Welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today, it's October 4th, 2013, and we're looking at the 4 films of that weekend. And we start off, of course, with Gravity. This is a movie about a medical engineer played by Sandra Bullock and an astronaut played by George Clooney who work together to survive after an accident leaves them adrift in space. You know, once in a while, a movie comes along like Jaws, Star Wars, E.T., Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Jurassic Park, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, where somebody takes the boundaries of making movies and creates something revolutionary and amazing. Gravity is one of those movies. This is high up there with some of the best movies I've seen in a long time, and one of the best movies, and the best movie I saw that year. I mean, can't remember if I put this above 12 Years a Slave or below it, but it's close. I mean, it's really close between the two movies, but unlike 12 Years a Slave, this is the one I'll watch more and more because the subject matter isn't as heavy as 12 Years a Slave is. We'll touch on that when we get to that movie later on in the year, but not only is this movie gorgeous looking, but it's very suspenseful, and it's one hell of a movie-going experience. George Clooney and Sandra Bullock work off each other really well here. They both really do a great job acting-wise, and, you know, Bullock takes up a lot of the majority of the film's runtime, giving one of the strongest performances of her career. I mean, if anything, she should have won an Oscar for this movie and not The Blind Side, because, man, she really just makes this work. And after The Heat, you see why this woman is such a great actress, because she really just knocks it out of the park. This is only an hour-and-a-half movie, man. This is a movie that's not long at all. Like, you could watch it in the span of 2 hours, and I like the fact that it's not an over 2.5-hour movie, because it was getting too much back then. But this movie just works on every single level. The action and suspense is really good. It's very well put together. You really don't know what's going to happen when this is all said and done. It feels realistic, like something that this could actually happen out in space. And because you get so invested in the characters overall, you're just on the edge of your seat as they are. Like, you watching this, and you feel like you're Sandra Bullock and George Clooney in this situation here. Like, you're trying to hold it together and make sure you don't lose your mind because you're out in space and all that. The action and the suspense here is very well put together. You really don't know where it's going to go at the end. I just told you that. I'm reading off my review from the website here, and I just literally told you the same thing that I'm just about to tell you already. But so scratch that. Let's move on. The visual effects in this are incredible. They do a great job of making it look like this is actually shot in space. Like, it's some of the most spectacular visuals I've ever seen in a movie. I mean, that's really saying a lot. But the cinematography, fantastic, man. So the cinematography is top-notch. There are several scenes in this movie where there are just long tracking shots that just go on for several minutes. Like, Joe Wright is known for doing this with a lot of his movies, like in Atonement and Hannah. Alfonso Cuarón himself has done it with, one of the great tracking shots of all time, Children of Men, where, they're in the car and these guys are coming after them and they're trying to get away from them. It's all one continuous long shot, and like, they take it several steps further by having not just one long tracking shot, but several of them. I mean, he really elevates this to a whole nother level with how he does this. I mean, the first one alone is like 10 minutes long, 10 whole minutes without a single cut to another scene. And, you can see why the cinematographer Emmanuel Lubezki won an Oscar for this, because this was a movie that won 7 Oscars, including Best Director for Alfonso Cuarón, but it also won Best Cinematography. It actually was as I'm reading it right here, it was actually the movie that is only second only to Cabaret in receiving the most Academy Awards in the ceremony, despite not winning Best Picture. It won Best Visual Effects, Best Film Editing, Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing, Best Sound Mixing, and of course Sandra Bullock was nominated for Best Director, as was for Best Production Design, and of course Best Picture. But, I mean, this is a movie where several of the other tracking shots are pretty long, between 3 to 5 minutes in length, but it's very impressive to see the potential that this method can be used for greater things in future projects. And I don't think a lot of people really have taken advantage of that overall, unfortunately. But the film also knows to keep it quiet at some points, taking advantage of the fact that, as the famous tagline from Alien says, in space, no one can hear you scream. And in fact, in space, no one can hear anything. The film is very clever in the sound area where the explosions take place and debris is falling, but you don't hear the debris crashing into the objects, but you can still hear the characters. Like, this is a phenomenal movie. It's a movie that I still go back to it even after all these years later, and I'm still impressed by what I saw from it. This is a cinematic achievement that was desperately needed in a year where a lot of blockbusters came out and were really just not that great. This movie made you believe that there was still hope, that the movies could take you to places you've never been before, and this is a great example of that. This is one of those examples of a movie that I would say is one of those great movie-going experiences I ever had. As I was going to touch on that on talking about the movies this week, and that's one of those movies where this is definitely going to come up in that, because this is a movie that is definitely a phenomenal motion picture experience. A great story, great characters, great action, great suspense. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's a groundbreaking, revolutionary movie. Easily the best movie I saw that year, easily. I mean, it's close with 12 Years a Slave, but this is the one I would watch over and over and over again. I never get tired of it. Gravity's fucking great, man. It's a phenomenal, phenomenal film.